All right, ready? All right, here with Ewing, our defending champion at the Bank of Hope LPGA Match Play presented by MGM Rewards. Allie was a long, hot week last year, very long, hot week, but it ended up with a great outcome for you. Thinking back to last year, what were some of your big takeaways from that week and rising to meet the challenge of beating this beast?
Yeah, I mean, it was, as you said, a super long week, exhausting week. I told myself at the beginning of the week that if I was exhausted, it was because I kept winning, which is, a good thing. That means you're advancing. So I think it was a week that I'll never forget. It's just a great run tournament. They do a great job making us feel really important, really appreciated to be here. And Shadow Creek is an absolute treat. And again, it's in great shape this year, so excited to be back.
It was your 1-year wedding anniversary, if
Yes.
I remember correctly. So you got 2 years.
2 years on Monday.
2 years on Monday.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed for a good outcome for you.
Yeah.
You've been out for the Pro-Am. You've been out for practice rounds. What does the course look like out there? Is it what you remember it to be?
Yeah, it's great. Greens are firm. They're fast. Immaculate conditions, just as to be expected from what I remember last year. So, I've talked with my caddy a good bit this week and just trying to build off of positive memories from last year, but also just put those in the rearview window because it doesn't do me any good for this week other than take the positives. But different week, different obstacles to tackle. So it'll definitely just be a one day, one shot at a time mentality.
What is the mentality of match play? You're certainly a match play veteran from your AM days, from Solheim Cup, from playing here. How does teeing up in a match play event differ your prep for playing it up in a stroke play event?
Yeah, I think how I prepare for the golf tournament doesn't really change. How I figure out how to play the hole, what the hole sets up for, tee shots, and I think this golf course is it's challenging because the greens are so firm. It's a very strategic golf course, just getting around it and trying to give yourself a lot of birdie looks. So for me, I think it's kind of just playing within myself. Obviously, when you're playing match play, your opponent kind of dictates a lot of what you do. But as far as like how I'm going to approach each match and each hole, it'll be kind of a similar stroke play mentality with how to get around the golf course. But matches will sometimes tell me to be maybe more conservative or more aggressive for sure.
Greg, any questions? Greg's with the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Sure. We talked quite a bit on Zoom last week. Curious, now that you've gotten here, what was it like setting foot back here?
Yeah,
the memories flood back.
Yeah, memories for sure. For me, it was just kind of when I was stepping up to each hole, thinking about how I played it, because I really have tried to, not let last year be anything that holds me back from preparing in the best way possible for this week. But it certainly brings back a lot of good memories and positivity for how I got around the golf course. So. It's just still a day by day with how to approach the day, how to approach the matches, but definitely getting good vibes and everything like that from how I played last year.
And I wanted to ask you, I'm working on a story about some of the younger American players who haven't won yet, and that was you a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
What was the mental process like for you, and the frustrations like when you hadn't gotten a win yet and you knew you were capable?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it just goes to show you the depth of our tour and how hard it is to win. There were times in the years before I actually got that win where I played really solid golf, but it just wasn't good enough that week. Someone played better, and that's just kind of the mentality of what the daunting task is of getting a win out here. But I think overall I had somewhat of a mentality that I had to be perfect to get a win. And once I kind of settled into just being me was good enough. I didn't have to make every putt, get every ball up and down, hit every green, make perfect contact with every shot, hit every fairway. I think I approached a little bit of my first couple years in that way. And once I kind of just realized that, I'm not going to make every putt. I'm not going to hit every fairway. And going on to win my first event in Georgia, I played really good golf, but it wasn't perfect golf. So for me, it just kind of took a little bit of a load off and made me just kind of appreciate that perfect golf doesn't have to happen to get a win. It just has to be a good week, and you have to be better than everyone else, which is still really hard to do.
I know you're friends with Amy Olsen. She hung around for your final last year. If someone like Amy or Megan Kang or someone who's got a ton of talent, what do you say to them when they're looking and they don't have a trophy yet?
Yeah, it's hard. I think everybody's path on the LPGA is so different. Overall, it's one thing that I've relied on, and I know I can speak for Amy on this, is that I've relied on my faith and that just being right where I need to be in terms of God's will for my life. And I know she's hung on to that, and there's no doubt that every rookie, every young player out here is capable of winning. And as crazy as it sounds, it's kind of just a timing thing. Like, we all put in the work. We all expect to be a winner at some point. And it's just kind of, the hard work eventually pays off, and God's timing is always perfect. That's how I have just grown to appreciate, my path. And like I said, everybody's path is different, but God's timing was better than mine.
Was the old cliche true for you that the second one was harder than the first one?
Oh, goodness. I'd probably say the first one for me was really hard just because it felt like it was never going to happen. I think I had mentally gotten into a spot before I went in Georgia that I was like, it may not ever happen, because I'd played good golf up until that point and I had not gotten a win. So for me, like that alone felt like just a huge load that had been lifted. And just since then, I think I've just, in terms of like if I look back on my career, which it's not over yet, but if I were to look back on my career and tomorrow I could never play golf again, I'd be able to look back and say that I've been proud of how I've played, and I've never felt like I had anything to prove to anyone, but I certainly proved to myself that all the hard work had paid off through the years, and certainly content with myself and everything that I've done in my career so far.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wanted to change subjects a little bit and ask you about the NCAA women's tournament that's going on right now. I know NCAA golf is incredibly special to you for many reasons.
Yeah.
What do you think about when you think back to your time at NCAAs and what these girls are going through right now?
Yeah. So, it's incredible. In 2013, Mississippi State was the first time a Mississippi school, much less Mississippi State, had ever advanced to the national championship. So when I look back on that, like that's so cool. But now that I'm, in a different set of shoes, and I'm my husband's the coach, and I'm able to kind of step into more of a mentor role to the girls, and I try to jump into just like the coach's wife. But it's so cool, and I was able to be in Scottsdale I guess it would have been Wednesday, and then drove over Sunday, just to kind of be in that atmosphere. I love it. I love being around the girls, and just seeing that the future the generation that's coming to the LPGA is in good hands, and there are just so many good players. And college golf it's so cool. It's so unique. Unless you are blessed to be a part of a Solheim Cup or something like that, you're never really going to be in a team atmosphere like that ever again. So I appreciate all 4 of my years of college golf, and still blessed to be able to jump in and feel like I'm a part of that team occasionally too.
I know Mississippi State didn't make it into the bracket, but I wanted to ask you about specifically Rose Zhang and what she's done, winning the individual title, and now just you're talking about the future of women's golf right there. What are your thoughts on Rose?
So I played with Rose Saturday of Chevron. I think it would have been in 2019, either 19 or 20, and I was very impressed with her game. She putted incredibly that round from what I remember, but you just see how dominant her amateur golf career has been, and there's no doubt she'll be able to come out probably immediately and make an impact. And you see so many of those girls that are playing incredible golf at the collegiate level, at the amateur stage, with USGA events and all of those high caliber amateur tournaments. And it's an exciting time to just be around women's golf. And hopefully they're getting good crowds at NCAAs, because they are seeing probably some future champions of the LPGA Tour.
So bringing it back, from one match play event to another one, back here, We're in for another hot 3 days.
Yep.
What's your game plan as you take to, I think tomorrow you're taking on Jody Ewart Shadoff in the first round?
Yeah, I think for me, I was early tee time today for the Pro-Am, so I'm going to finish getting my practice in and just go get some rest. And I'd probably say this week, I feel like I've tried to prepare more last week so that when I get here, I can kind of really just focus on playing and not feel like I'm trying to get my game ready to play. And so for my mentality tomorrow, it's just going to be, one shot, one hole at a time. Jody's a great player. We've seen her play great golf and play Solheim Cups, so I'm sure it'll be a great match, and it'll completely be a one match at a time mentality. Like I told my caddy, I don't want to live in the past. We can take positives, but I was like, unless someone asks, we're done talking about last year because it's over. It doesn't get me anything for this year. So I'm just going to go try to compete my hardest and grind it out.
And then last question, yeah, you're here to work, but it's Vegas. There's a little fun too. Anything fun you've got planned for this week or anything you'd like to do?
I'm not entirely sure. I'll definitely try to be off my feet as much as I can, just, with the hopes of competing up until Sunday. But I'm probably, if I'm in Vegas, I'm not your typical Vegas girl, but I'll maybe enjoy some good food. That's probably the brunt of what I'm going to be doing here in Vegas, other than hopefully playing good golf. Yeah.
Absolutely. A lot of good golf. Thanks so much, Allie. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Christina. Just in time.
I was like, you're done whether you're done or not. So,
And cut.